This project is not so much an exact, precise tutorial as it's a set of guidelines for experimenting and playing with tools that you may already have in your polymer clay collection. It's really a lot of fun, and it's a great way to come up with new combinations and possibilities. So let me show you how I put these together. The first thing I did was I went through my box of polymer clay veneers. I've made all sorts of things, and when I make something that I like, I keep it. So this is a bit of Makume Gane. If you watched my, I think it was Southwestern Makume Gane video, you'll recognize this. And these are just some sheets from other projects that were foiled. This one has kind of a coppery foil, and this one has silver. It's a fun, easy polymer clay technique where you put leaf on the, it's actually leaf, not foil, but you put leaf on the clay, and then you run it through the pasta machine, a thinner setting than it was, and it crackles, and then you turn it 90 degrees and run it the other way, and it crackles the other way, and I just love this look. So what you're looking for when you choose pieces is some sort of unity between them. And just like when you're matching prints and solids for clothing or a quilt, a good way to do that is to choose a busy piece, like we'll call this our floral print. Choose something that has a lot going on and then pull colors out of that. That's what I've done here. I've chosen this and I've pulled out the gold and orangey and coppery colors, and I've also pulled out the blue. That helps it all be cohesive. Here's another combination that I pulled out. This was a blend, you can tell. It's kind of broken apart because I've used some of it. And I'll show you what I used this on in a bit. Again, I started with a bit of Makume Gane that I had made that I liked. This also was a video that I made some time ago on how to do this technique, and I'll link to that. And I pulled these out, and again, the colors in common, although they aren't an exact match. This deep purple matches this one. This one not so much, but it's close enough that it works really well together. And even this blue is close enough, and they look really good together. And one more, the one I'm going to demonstrate on today. Again, a busy sheet. This is a peacock cane. Don't ask me how I made it. I kind of did it on the fly. Made it up from a photo that I saw of a peacock feather. One of my 52 dragons from 2015 was made with this. This is some clay with alcohol ink. I just really like the colors, and this you might remember from a crackle video. I'll link to all of these videos if they are a technique that I have shown. Then I'll link to the videos on how to make the veneers. But you probably have plenty of veneers in your own stash. What you want to do is first get them all to the same thickness. So if you have a thick sheet, you can roll it through your pasta machine. To keep from distorting your pattern, if you have to roll it down quite a bit, what you can do is put it through the pasta machine one step at a time. So say this was a 1, the thickest setting of the pasta machine. You could send it through on a 2, and then turn it 90 degrees. What I did was I took, oh, this is just falling apart, but it'll still be usable. I took a bit of deli sheet. I'll have a link to these along with all the supplies that I can find links for. I put it on the deli sheet with this one. It doesn't matter, but some of these had a good side. I put it good side down so I didn't have to worry about cleaning my pasta machine between sheets. That way, you just send it through the pasta machine on the sheet. This also helps to hold it together because some of these have been in my stash for a while, so they're a little dried out and crumbly. And of course, we're not going to condition them. We're just going to roll them a couple times until they're the thickness we want. So if you have a piece that's really thin, you can put a piece of backing clay behind it. Just keep in mind some of that backer may show in your finished piece. So I really like having these sheets on bits of deli paper while I'm working with them. It just helps me to move them around, especially if I'm working in a confined space, which our tables often are, aren't they? Because they're filled up with all kinds of stuff. But I wouldn't leave these on the deli sheet for long. That's why it's on the tile. I put it on the tile overnight because I usually prepare my videos the night before I record them. So I didn't want to leave them on the tile overnight, on the paper overnight. So we've got our veneers all prepared. And yeah, I did 3 for each one. Oh, and this one, again, I just pulled out colors. I don't know that I'll go for this, although I think this is beautiful. But it was more these greens over here that I thought were really pretty. I might do a little of the gold and the blue. We'll see how it looks. Once you have your colors chosen, then it's time to prepare your backer sheet. This is just a piece of black clay that I have mixed in some silver. In this case, I think this is white gold glitter. I just like the subtle, I don't know how well the camera's picking it up, the difference between the two. I just like the little bit of shimmer. It's not such a stark black. It's more of a, I don't know, charcoal. I just like the look. So I just mixed a little bit of this in with that and got this. This is rolled out on a medium setting. This is maybe a 3 or a 4. Not too thick, not too thin. And I've decided I'm going to make a pair of earrings with these. So I have this set of cutters. These are the Fat Daddy-O cutters. You can get these at Poly Clay Play. And I love just the interesting shapes that you can get here. So I'm going to cut out 2 and make a pair of earrings with these. But first, before I do that, I'm going to add some texture to this sheet that will show underneath it and look really great. There are so many different ways to texture your clay, but you want something kind of a smallish scale. There's this I found in the cake decorating section of Michael's, I think, and I just love it. It's a great fabric-like texture. This is actually a garlic mincer. My son gave it to me, and I don't really use it for that. I have a garlic press that I like, but look, do it up here. Look at that, isn't that cool? Oh, I love it. I think it might be a little bit big of a scale for my earrings because it's only going to, little bits of it are only going to show behind the veneers that we put on top. Another tool that's great for texture is just a bolt from the hardware store. That's what I did with this one. I just went in one direction and then in the other and made a really cool texture. This one was textured with the mesh bag that garlic comes in at the grocery store. So it's kind of fun. I consider it like it's not like a treasure hunt to go through your house or keep an eye out wherever you go. Look for interesting textures. I have no idea where this came from. It's a comb of some sort. But I'm going to use this. Since these earrings are small, I wanted a pretty fine texture. And I'm going to do it kind of diagonal. Oh, look, you can wiggle it. That is a cool fabric-looking texture. Okay, I'm happy with that one. Now next, to make the texture pop, I'm going to add just a little bit of mica powder. You can add whatever you want, but mica powder is easy. Let's see, to this one I added some bronze. To this one I added some pearl. These are both perfect pearl colors. To this one, because of the colors I've chosen, this green and the gold and the peacock, I thought this would look nice, just to kind of brighten it up, a little bit of yellow, because I've got a fair amount of black and darker colors going on. So I'm going to add just a little. First I'm going to tap it with the lid facing down, and that will get some of the powder on the lid, and then I'm going to tap it again with the lid facing up, and then I'm going to make sure that I open it with the lid facing up. Have you ever done that? Ugh, what a mess. And I'm just going to use the lid. I only want a little bit. I don't want to cover this, especially when this is a pretty fine texture. Ooh, that's pretty. I'm not worried about the spots. It'll just add some interest and draw attention to that texture that will be under what we're building here. Let's see, just kind of, not that one, kind of audition. Just a light touch. You don't want to flatten out your texture, although that texture is pretty flat. You know, when I bought these at Poly Clay Play, I watched a little, I think it was a video or something I read from Helen Briel talking about sanding these to use with polymer, because there's like a little lip in here, and I haven't done it. I should. I'm just going to mark. I'm not going to cut them out yet. I'm just going to mark where I want these to go, just so I have an idea of the boundaries of my piece. So that'll be a really cute earring with maybe a crystal or a bead dangling from the bottom. Bring in a tile to start cutting my veneers. Now you can experiment with whether you like these thick or thin as far as the look, because if you look at the edges of these, this one you can see that the veneers, can you see, are much thinner than on this one on the left. These ones I left them thicker. That's why I said if you put a backing behind your veneers, you may end up seeing it on the piece. So keep that in mind when you're designing. So it's just a different look. I sort of like them a little bit thicker. It just makes it apparent that you've got something there. These are pretty small earrings, so I'm going to cut small pieces. First I'm going to cut a clean edge, and then I'm going to cut a skinny triangle. And these stick fine. I was concerned that they might not because of the mica powder, but if you just lightly tap it down, oh, you might want to hold off on that. I'm doing it now. I should wait because I might want to move things and reposition them. And this is why I think it's so handy dandy to have these on just sheets of deli paper. Let's see, I want to cut across this, so I think I'll make a clean edge here. And cut. And you don't have to go across if you don't want to. You could make them, if you're doing two, you could definitely make them individually. That's kind of cool. So see, I'm just leaving a little bit of space, and even that little ragged black bit there, I like that. And let's see, right about here. And you only need a tiny, tiny bit of your veneers. You'll be amazed when you get done at just how little you end up using. Now this looks like it was on a backing, so that's going to show, which I think might be cool. I'm alternating the direction just to get these to fit the way I want. Now that I think is too fat for up there. I like it. I like this skinny bit here. You can have the point coming right to the edge or not. I'm just going to put that like that. You don't have to put them all parallel. Where is it? This one, I changed the angle a bit and then filled it in with 3 little dots just for a point of interest. Let's see. Yeah, that's a little too wide for my taste. So see what I mean? Little tiny pieces you're putting in. Oh, that's cool. So you just keep going, filling it in. I love the look of this. I don't know, it might be with the gold. If I make sure and get some of that gold area, that might be a nice pop of color, because there is the blue and a little bit of a turquoisey green in there. So let's see. You can also leave it on your blade if it will stay, which it didn't. You can leave it on your blade. Sometimes it'll stick. And then that will help you to place it exactly where you want it. I like that. So like I said, this isn't a precise tutorial. It's more a set of guidelines. I just had so much fun when I started pulling out my my veneers and looking at the possibilities for combinations. It was just like, ooh, I gotta try this, and oh, I gotta try that, and oh, what if I use this? It's just a great opportunity for some creative play. So variations. Well, on this one, that's one thing about these skinny triangles, is that you can start to shape them. Oops, sorry about that. My camera cut out on me. What I was going to show you was that you can, sometimes if your clay is warm enough and malleable enough, you can shape these skinny triangles into curves. I just love how this one starts out with all these straight lines and then just breaks out into swirly things and dots and spirals, and I just love that. Now this one, you can see these broken bits. This was what the camera cut out, was that it was a little too firm, and that's the problem with using old veneers. If you've just created something, you might have better luck. Let's try with a bit of this. You want to cut a really skinny triangle, so it's really skinny at the tip. And then you can just kind of take your finger and coax it into a curve. Oh, this one's behaving. The other one broke on me. And we'll see how far we can get that. So far, so good. Oh, that's looking nice. Ooh, I like that. And you can see up here I put a little tiny one next to a dot. You don't have to make them perfectly matching. And that's where a tool can come in handy to kind of move that, nudge it, make it move a little. I don't like that going the other direction. It kind of leads the eye away, where it's suddenly a sudden change in direction. Draws your eye right to that. There we go. And maybe a little dot of this bright blue. A little bit of the gold in there. Once you are all done, you can then tap it down. And like I said, on the baked ones, these veneers are on here. They're on there just fine. And I'll line up my cutter with the line I made earlier. Pardon, my head gets in the way. I just need to get right over it so I can see that I'm lined up. I like my little curly cue there. I don't want to cut it off. Press down. Give it a little bit of a wiggle. And then you can use your blade to shimmy under and take that off. That is going to be cool. Now you could bake them flat, but you know, that can be boring. So why not be interesting and have more curves and shape? You could bake it on something like a votive holder and get this really cool kind of potato chip shape. This one, I just wanted a bit of a curve. I baked on the Sculpey lentil bead maker. Just baked it on here. When it was done making, I textured some more of that gradient that I had and applied that to the back. Just add some TLS first, apply a layer, and then add your backing. And I took some matching bits of clay, rolled out really thin snakes, and just added them as some trim along the border. You could also extrude pieces and add those as trim. Add a bail. Use these however you like to make them into pieces of jewelry or decorative pieces or whatever you like. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I would love it if you make something like this, that you share it with me and let me know what you made. I always love seeing your work.